Hi everybody, this is Lara at pureelliottwave.com with a second video for you today. This is because my husband asked me, he gave me a list of over 20 coins to have a look at, and I ruled them out for various reasons, and I've got it down to 4, and I'm going to do some just classic technical analysis on these 4. I'm going to look at Cosmos, Binance, Polkadot and Theta in that order. First up, Cosmos, just technical analysis, no Elliott wave in this video. At the weekly chart level, it's pretty obviously in a bullish trend, higher highs and higher lows. This high, importantly, hasn't made a new high beyond this high, and this low hasn't made a new low beyond this low. So Cosmos is now in sideways consolidation with resistance about 44.25 and support about 21.50. At the high, there was some pretty strong, clear bearish divergence between price and RSI, after RSI reached quite deeply overbought and ADX reached really extreme, over 60. This is a very extreme coin. It's reduced from its high around about 44.45 to find a low about 21.50, currently sitting just over $30 today. There's a bit of a bullish long lower wick here, but there's also a little bit of a bearish long upper wick. The lower wick's longer than the upper, so overall this would be bullish. And this candlestick here does have support from volume compared to the prior very bearish candlestick. Now I want to have a look at the daily chart to see if I can see some strength off lows to expect that we might have a low in place down here. This upward movement here has push from volume, but a bearish upper wick here suggests possibly a bit more downward movement ahead. On balance, volume gives us a bullish signal. In conjunction with support from volume here, it suggests this low may be sustainable. RSI well back in neutral territory, ADX declining, but it's still above the DX line, so if an upward trend does continue, it may only be the next 1 or 2 waves, not the start of a longer, more sustainable trend yet. It is possible that the black ADX line could yet get below both DX lines and give us a strong bullish signal, but it's not there yet. The positive DX line does remain above the negative. Stochastics neutral. ATR has a tendency to increase with bullish movement and decline for bearish movement for this market, so overall that would be bullish. The upward movements tend to be stronger than the downward movements. At the daily chart level, let's look at this movement here, and this low here. There's a hammer candlestick pattern here. These wicks aren't long enough for a hammer. This is a bullish engulfing candlestick pattern. It does have support from volume, so unsurprising we got upward movement. Bearish engulfing candlestick pattern, and now we've got a low down here with another hammer. This hammer has push from volume pushing price lower, although it's impossible to tell in the daily chart if the balance of volume was up or down for this session. But downward movement has finished with strong volume. That seems to be a feature of cryptocurrencies. Looking at this bullish engulfing candlestick pattern here, it was followed by some upward movement, but it wasn't sustainable. It had really strong support from volume. I'm pointing this out because it's telling me that looking for strength off lows for this market, for Cosmos, isn't always going to be definitive. It didn't work here. If I had put my hand over this and don't look at this, I would have said that this would have been strongly indicative of a sustainable low, but that was breached and more downward movement. On balance, volume at the daily chart level gives us no range. Gives us no signal. This is a weak range. The short-term volume profile is bullish, with upward sessions being stronger than downward. At the daily chart level, no clear trend either. RSI neutral, stochastics neutral, and again, ATR tends to increase with bullish movement and decrease with bearish. I haven't noted it on this chart, but I should. There's a death cross here with I'm using a Fibonacci 55, so it's a little bit more conservative. The 50-day moving average would have crossed slightly earlier, but the 50-day moving average has crossed below the 200, so this is a bearish signal. The moving average situation, the short is below the mid, is below the long. Price is below the mid and long. The mid is negatively sloped, but the long-term moving average remains positively sloped. This is overall bearish, but still a little more leaning inconclusive. So going back to the weekly chart, I don't think it's necessarily at a really low rate. I wouldn't be jumping in too keenly to purchase some of this. If I did purchase, I might purchase a really small amount, like possibly just the minimum allowed. Let's jump over to the next one, Binance, and this is one I've analysed a while ago and did purchase a while ago. Let's have a look and see where it is now. At this really important high back in, what is this? April, May 2021, bearish divergence between price and RSI, bearish engulfing candlestick pattern, which did not have support from volume. That's okay, it doesn't have to. It's been followed by some downward movement. Now we've got a bullish long lower wick and now support developing quite nicely about 225 and resistance at 637. Volume is really weak since the all-time high and on balance volume's tightly constrained, not giving us a signal. RSI back in neutral territory, it hasn't managed to reach oversold. The previous upward trend got really extreme, over 70 for this market. That's very extreme. The ADX line is still declining. It's above 15. The negative DX line is now above the positive, but there's no clear trend indicated at this time frame at this time. Stochastics oversold. It reached oversold here. And we saw an upward swing to resistance. Stochastics reached overbought. Now it's back in oversold territory. Price is at support. Well, no, it's not down at support. It's up here in the middle of this, about 350, or just above 350 with support about 350. And stochastics has reached oversold. So we might continue to find support in the mid-range of this consolidation zone. Let's have a look and see what's happening for this downward movement. Can we see strength off lows for Binance down here? That's what I'm looking for. Bullish candlestick reversal pattern here and here. Here's another pretty strong bullish candlestick pattern. It's lacking strength off this low. This candlestick here does not have support from volume. That leads me to believe, or I would be quite skeptical that this low may be sustained. There was a downward trend indicated which did get very extreme down here. ADX is now declining. It's back below both DX lines. It's at a reasonably low level. The negative DX line is above the positive. If the black ADX line turns up again, it would then indicate a downward trend again. After this bearish, bullish candlestick pattern, this candlestick does not have support from volume, and nor does this candlestick have support from volume. That's concerning. I would not be confident that Binance has found a low yet. On balance, volume still has a weak range, no signal. We've been over the other indicators. And ATR declining as price moves slowly lower. Slowly lower. I expect it will find a low, but I would not be confident in this low at this time yet. Okay, Polkadot. And this is another one I've analysed before, and I've done an Elliott wave count for. At the weekly chart level, it's at a reasonably good price at the moment. At this high here, here's a bearish candlestick pattern in dark cloud cover. Here's a huge bearish engulfing candlestick pattern back here. And at these highs, there was bearish divergence between price and RSI. There's longer term divergence as well, but I really do prefer to look for RSI for these more close by swing highs and lows to identify divergence. It just does seem to be a little bit more reliable. RSI is in neutral territory, there's no clear trend, and stochastics is oversold. Price not quite at support though. There's a little bit of room for price to continue lower, and stochastics could dip back up into neutral, get back to oversold, or just stay oversold. It's been there a while now, and price has fallen a reasonable distance. So just because stochastics is oversold doesn't mean downward movement has to end. I'd expect it could continue further, but when we look at this hammer, let's expect, because the candlestick is green, there's possibly more upward movement than downward in that session, and it does have support from volume. So let's look carefully at the daily chart for this one. ATR also declining as price moves lower is commonly a feature of these cryptocurrencies. If this isn't a low here, I'd look for a low about $10, which isn't too far below. What about the daily chart level? Here's a hammer candlestick pattern at this low as well, with strong volume off this low. But I'm not seeing it again here, which is concerning. I'd expect this little pullback at least to test these lows, if not to go lower to 10. No signal from on-balance volume, no clear trend from ADX. All it needs though is for the ADX line, the black line, to turn and have a positive slope, and a downward trend would be indicated. RSI neutral after showing bullish divergence at these lows, but it's so weak, so I wouldn't give that much weight. And stochastics in neutral territory, ATR declining. Not convinced about the low of this one either, but it does look slightly more likely than the last one. And finally, Theta. Now this is the one that looked the best to me when I first looked at the charts. I like this huge spike up and then a pullback, and it's at reasonably low levels, but the question is does it have a low in place? At the weekly chart level, there's a morning star candlestick pattern. It's really not a very strong one though. And the third candlestick, this one here, does not have support from volume, so I wouldn't have confidence in that. Here's a gravestone doji, but it's not coming in the context of an upward trend, so I'm not going to read it as a bearish reversal signal. In order for a bearish candlestick pattern to be read as bearish, it has to come in the context of an upward trend. There has to be something to reverse, and that isn't it. On balance volume, no signal. RSI neutral, no clear trend. DX lines whipsawing from ADX. Stochastics oversold and ATR declining. Pretty good support, about $2.50. What does that look like at the daily chart level? Possibly a double bottom, not sure. But here's a bullish engulfing candlestick pattern off this low. It does not have support from volume. But here's a morning star candlestick pattern, slightly better than the one on the weekly chart. It does have support from volume, so we might be getting some strength off lows here. But look back at this. I'm identifying this on Theta's chart because here we have a really strong bullish engulfing candlestick pattern, possibly a double bottom. The candlestick here has really strong support from volume. If you cover your hand over this and just look at this and maybe this as well, you could possibly make the call for a sustainable low in place down here based on the strength of the candlestick pattern with strong support from volume. But that didn't work at all, did it? So this is a really hard one to pick. There's a bullish signal from on-balance volume. So it's a little bit of support, but we would have seen it back here. If I draw a trend line here to here across here, we would have seen a bullish signal about here from on-balance volume. We haven't seen new lows though since then, so that would have actually been 1-2 bullish signals. So possibly strong push from volume in the last session too. ADX tells us there's no clear trend, RSI in neutral territory, stochastics neutral, ATR declining. So here's the low, and RSI reached oversold. We haven't made a new low. RSI is slightly higher. There's no bullish divergence at this low, but it did reach oversold. It could move lower, but it's fairly well priced, I would think, so this might be possibly my best pick out of these. What have we got? 4. So Cosmos, possibly a little bit overpriced. Not sure about the lows here. A lack of strength off lows. Binance, still a really high price. Not confident of this low because it's lacking strength off lows. Polkadot, also strong volume off this low, a little bit more bullish divergence. Here, possibly a better pick, and still at a reasonably good price. So I would possibly go with Polkadot and maybe Theta, simply because I like the look of this chart. But I understand it could certainly go a lot lower before it finally turns up, and I wouldn't put much money into that one at all. So that's my conclusion for those 4 out of that huge list that he gave me. Thank you so much for your support. I hope someone else finds this useful as well, and if I do choose to purchase any of those, I'll be notifying my membership in comments of the latest posts on my website as per my ethics guidelines for my CMT. Thank you so much for watching.